Can someone who's never speedrun a Mario Kart game get a world record time in the new Mario Kart World? This was an impossible challenge that I wanted to do for myself. And this is the story of how I did the impossible. By the time I started trying, pro players had already gotten insanely good times, and getting a world record was incredibly competitive and difficult. So how is a noob supposed to beat the best players in the world? Well, I wanted to see if there was a track with an incredibly hard shortcut that required brand new techniques, so that veteran Mario Kart players wouldn't have too much of an advantage over me. And that's when I saw one of the hardest shortcuts in the game in Bowser's Castle. And this is what the world record looked like at the time. And the shortcuts that people already found blew my mind. Normally for this first part, you would just drive around the track like this, but you can actually save over 3 seconds with an insanely difficult shortcut. You jump onto the wall, jump off the wall to bonk the corner to line up for this bounce off the sign, and hold left to cut the corner, launching all the way over to this platform. That first turn skip is much harder than it looks. And keep in mind, you have to pull off multiple shortcuts in each of the 3 laps. So consistency is really important. Now here, you would normally take this wide turn using the intended path, but you can actually save over a second by jumping off the wall instead, which gives you a much tighter turn. And here, you can skip another wide turn by using a mushroom to cross the lava. And from there, you continue making tight turns and making the 3 shortcuts for the other 2 laps. Now by just watching the world record, it's hard to tell how hard these shortcuts actually are. When I tried to replicate the turn skip, I kept bouncing off the sign in different spots, latching onto the wall and launching into the lava, and even when I seemed to get a good bounce off the sign, I had no idea how the world record ghost was always ahead of me. If someone knew how to do this shortcut consistently, they were keeping it a secret, and I would have to figure it out myself. I also didn't understand how the world record got this jump every time, so I kept missing the platform. And now the lava cut didn't look hard when I watched the world record, but when I tried it, I kept taking the turn wide. And I was trying to make a tight turn. But after driving the track a few times, I felt like I understood how to make each shortcut. So I wanted to see if I could get a run successfully doing every shortcut in a row. And in my first attempt, I realized how difficult it was to be consistent. And I finished with a time 17 seconds behind the world record. But I knew there must be a secret way to get the shortcuts consistently. And that's when I discovered something really important I was missing that let me get ahead of the world record. I noticed that the world record always turned to this square on the floor before jumping on the wall for turn skip. And this gave me more consistency, which could put me ahead on the first lap. In this run that was ahead, I bled time on the other shortcuts, so I finished the first lap just 1 second behind the world record. But I missed the second turn skip. Clearly, there was still a lot to learn about this shortcut to be consistent. After about 2 hours of attempts, I finally got all 3 turn skips in a run and finished the run with a 2:23, which was a 10-second improvement over my personal best. Even though I made all the turn skips, I still had more to learn. And after watching the new world record, I figured out one key thing they did that made the skip more consistent. They always jumped off the wall at this exact moment. And by reinforcing that timing, I found more success with the shortcut. So I went back to attempts, and I got a new personal best by 4/10 of a second. And in this one, I actually missed the final turn skip, which lost multiple seconds. I knew I could easily beat this time with good shortcuts. And after about an hour of attempts, this happened. I beat my previous time by over 5 seconds, and for the first time, I got all 3 shortcuts in all 3 laps. And I was less than 2 seconds behind the world record, but my progress didn't stop there. I was on a roll with my first laps. I kept catching up to the world record by taking turns tighter than I ever have with new approaches to the shortcuts. I figured out that tricking to the left made lining up this wall jump a lot more consistent. And here, I started aiming for the right side of the track, so I could drift closer to the fence for the lava cut. It felt like everything was coming together, and on this run, I made it into the final lap less than a second behind the world record. My best run by over half a second. but I ended up falling off the map and finishing slower than my best time. At this point, the last two shortcuts felt fast and consistent, but I still didn't understand the first turn skip. I'd get it more than half the time setting new best laps, but then get launched off to the side 10 times in a row without knowing why. After some time, I realized that the difference was latching onto the wall. Notice how in this attempt, I clear the wall and launch straight toward the next platform. But on this one, I latch onto the wall on the side and get launched further away. I figured out that the reason for this was because I kept hugging this wall too tight. That means that I'll be closer to this wall on the side, and the cart latches onto it. And the solution was easy. I just had to hold left later to distance myself from the wall. I started attempts again, used a new strategy I found where you trick on this bump to get a boost before the wall ride. And after driving the whole course, I finished the run in 2:18.186, an improvement of 1/10 of a second. I saw where I could save time. Near the beginning of the track, the drift after the first turn skip, and near the end of the track, a tighter lava cut. So I analyzed the current world record, used the rewind feature to practice these two strategies, went back to attempts and did this. No latch onto the wall, clean inside drift, got the new trick on the bump, perfect wall jump angle, bumped the fence on the lava cut, but still on pace with the record, and closed out lap 1 only 0.15 behind the record. The fastest lap I've ever driven. It ended at the turn skip, but it gave me confidence, which was taken away from me very soon after a double world record by the same player, ending with a 2:15.935. The new record saved the most time on the first lap using tighter turns on the shortcuts. But there was a problem with this new world record. They were using Wiggler instead of Wario, and Wario has much better catchphrases than Wiggler. So I had to get Wario the record. After a while, I ended up getting two best lap 1s within 10 minutes of each other. They both ended at the second turn skip, but just 20 minutes later, I got a run better than I could have imagined. $217.875, 13th place on the worldwide rankings. I rode the momentum the next day, getting under 46 seconds on the first lap and losing it to turn skip. I kept trying, but no other runs that day. And now a new world record was set, and this one worried me. The same player managed to shave 0.3 of a second off their record using the same exact strategies, which was a lot for this tight of a run. I thought maybe I could match the world record, maybe save 1/10 of a second at best, but am I really able to do that before they improve their time again? There had to be some other time save on a track this open and this technical. So to find the answer, I just looked it up. Mario Kart World Bowser's Castle shortcut, and I saw this video from Troy, watched through it, and found this. Trick off the pole for a higher bounce, turn toward the wall to latch onto it, and perform 2 consecutive wall jumps to launch straight onto the glider ramp. This shortcut seemed to take a tighter turn than the lava cut, and it saved a mushroom too, which means you could wait to use it on another path ahead. But it seemed like people had already tested this, and everyone thought this shortcut was slower. But I was hopeful. I thought there was a possibility that everyone was wrong. I immediately started attempts on the new shortcut, and got this within a few minutes. After pulling that off, you still have a mushroom for this new lava cut, but now I wasn't sure what to do because I saw 2 ways to drive. One, you could trick off the edge of this platform for a boost, and then get a second trick boost off the glider ramp. Or 2, you could just take this boost ramp on the top path. I tested both and found that the boost ramp was significantly faster. Now I just need to get the new shortcut in a run to compare against the world record. Can this shortcut that everyone is ignoring actually be faster than the world record? Let's find out. For the first time, I was ahead of the world record. So far ahead that I couldn't even see the ghost behind me. This new shortcut was actually faster than the world record, and it gave me confidence that I could actually break it. This run here continued pretty close to the world record, but I barely missed the wall jump and lost the run. Even though being ahead of the record boosted my confidence in breaking it, I still needed more consistency with the new shortcut and the first turn skip. If I was better at those two shortcuts, Wario could actually get the world record time, and he deserves it. And somehow, just 20 minutes later, I had an idea. What if I just shook? I think that's it. If you just shake the controller, you tend to make it more often? Yeah. Okay, I might have just figured that out. I think I know how to get the world record now. In this game, you can trick in two ways. One, by pressing the drift button, or two, by shaking the controller. For whatever reason, there are some tricks that you can only do by shaking the controller. So, when I'm against the wall for turn skip, I can press the drift button as much as I want, and I can't trick until here. But by shaking the controller, you trick right against the edge. And during the trick animation, you can't latch onto the wall. I experimented with it, pulling as far left as I could to get closer to the wall, and I still avoided latching onto it. This was how the world record was so consistent, and now I had the answer to beat it. I practiced the new shortcut some more, and I found out that driving on Mario's head is just as fast as driving on wheels, which is cool. And then I started attempts, but this time, I was going for the world record. I was getting the turn skip way more often, and I was able to take a tighter drift here to get closer to the world record ghost. I also felt more comfortable getting the new shortcut in runs too, and my times were getting better and better going into the final lap. And eventually, I was able to get this run. I jumped too late. For the first time, I was on world record pace going into the final lap, and literally 3 minutes later, I got an even better run into the final lap. I knew how to do the turn skip, but I kept mistiming the wall jump on the final lap, so I took that as a sign to rest. But the next day, I woke up to a new world record of 2:15.517. For me, this actually wasn't discouraging at all. In fact, it motivated me to figure out how to get more consistent on the shortcuts I missed the day before. For turn skip, I reinforced the wall jump timing over and over until I didn't even have to think about it. For the new shortcut, I found most success when I jumped off the second wall around here to launch toward the glider ramp more often. It was July 15th, and I started up attempts thinking I could actually get my first Mario Kart World record. Little did I know I would be able to get a run this good in just one day. At the beginning of this video, the world record time was a 2:16.571. I had beaten that time, and now I was 5th place in the world, and I wasn't gonna stop there. 30 minutes later, a new best lap won. But I missed the turn skip. This was my first run ahead of the new world record going into the second lap, and I had the ability to save even more time getting the new shortcut, and soon after, I got this run. Oh, come on, man. That had a chance. Did that tie my... Okay. Man. I was half a second behind after lap 1, and literally drove into the lava on the final lap, and I still beat my personal best. I knew if I kept going, today might be the day I get the world record. My lap 1 times kept improving, and only 15 minutes later, I had the most insane lap 1 using the new shortcut. This was actually the world record for lap 1, and even after recording this is still my best first lap, and I was shocked how far ahead of the world record I would get. But during these attempts, I knew I just needed one run to go right. But a bit later, I was ahead on the second lap, and still ahead on the third lap. This time, I could get the world record. I jumped too late. 20 minutes later, another attempt going into the final lap. Might be possible, but it's gonna be kinda tight. This was a personal best by about 1/10 of a second, but based on the lap 1 I had earlier, I knew there was so much time to save. I'm just gonna keep playing. And after that run, for the first time, I was ready to get the world record. Why did I side trick the what? I think I bumped the left stick and I accidentally tricked to the side and then I lost all of my height. Oops. Despite losing a run that was half a second ahead of the world record in the final lap, I needed Wario to get the record, so I played again. Okay, at this point, it felt like the game was toying with me. I just needed to finish one run to get the world record time. And keep in mind, I could save about 0.3 of a second each time I successfully pulled off the new shortcut. So I could still get it on slower runs. I knew that with just one run, even if it was a little bit behind, I could get my first Mario Kart World record. I took the lava cut too tight and burned in the lava again. I'm not entirely sure whether that could have been the world record, but it was my closest run so far. I failed at the last possible moment, but I wasn't going to let that stop me. And 6 minutes later, I did this. I got it. That's it. That's totally it. Oh, yeah! There we go. Man, it is so satisfying to see that you actually win against the ghost, too. I've lost every run before that. Sweet. And make sure nobody else beat it, too. Alright, view rankings. First place by 0.5 seconds. Half a second. Screenshot that. 2:15.035. In one day, I improved my time by over 2 seconds. I beat the previous world record by half of a second, which is a lot for a speedrun this competitive. And somehow, I managed to get a world record in Mario Kart. Now I have a secret. There's another shortcut I've been practicing that no world record holder has used yet, and I'll be attempting to get a world record with it in live streams on this channel. And I may be getting other speedrun records here too, so subscribe if you want to be part of history.